Hi, good evening, and welcome to the 2020 Economic Collapse Survival Guide and channel resource. Today, I want to make a quick video just to talk to you about the possible black swan events that could trigger a recession and or depression in the United States. As you know, interest rates have been falling and savers have been hit tremendously by these falling interest rates, punished. And we also know that corporations, since jobs have already been outsourced to China, Mexico, Canada, Russia, Thailand, Singapore, and other countries, they're not going to be bringing those jobs back, despite the efforts by our legislature to do so. And incentives have already been given in the form of tax cuts and breaks for the rich of the rich, the top 400 Americans who own and control most of the stock market and other entities. So, with that being said, it is always a black swan event. It is always something that comes out of the blue. In 1929, things were looking great, and then all of a sudden in October, it took a turn for the worse that we all know began the Great Depression, which was 10 years of misery, pain, and conflict. But today, things have somewhat recovered. That doesn't mean everything is rosy. Now, here is the picture of the things that could cause a black swan. The US dollar is strong right now, according to the stock market and according to recent economic analysts. But if the US dollar were to lose its value tomorrow, meaning that either because they printed too much money in the monetary system, or it loses its value because other countries, this is a more likely scenario, other countries are pulling out of using the dollar. Okay, right now, other countries are using the dollar because they have good faith in fiat money because we trade dollars for oil, basically, okay, the petrodollar. But if the OECD, the Organization of Economic Countries and Development, if Saudi Arabia, if other countries decide not to sell oil in dollars, instead of using, and if they use something like the yuan, Chinese money, or some other currency, then the US dollar would rapidly lose value. Okay, they're already sending troops over to protect the oil fields in Syria, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and other places. Okay, that's the United States military. So the US dollar could lose rapid value due to other countries pulling out of the dollar because it's too debt laden. And it's just based on fiat. It's based on just pure faith and credit. It's not backed by anything substantial anymore. We're off the gold standard since 1970s, and Nixon's were off the Bretton Woods standard. So the dollar is based on just full faith and credit right now, and of course backing, of course, the U.S. military. So that is one black swan event. The other black swan event is that they've been talking about Deutsche Bank in Germany going down, but that may not be the primary bank. If a major United States bank here falls, let's say like a Bank of America or a Chase Bank or a Wells Fargo, because that recently they've had a lot of scandals that they've had to pay for, such as creating fake accounts. You should definitely Google that. They've created a bunch of fake accounts and they had been fined for that, Wells Fargo, and now they're under new management, ironically. A new CEO and all of that, and they're trying to, you see commercials you've seen on TV that they're trying to clean up their image and all of that. But if a big bank goes under, like Wells Fargo or one of these companies that are over leveraged, and we can't bail them out, the Federal Reserve can't bail them out, as they're already doing repo operations now till November 22nd. That we've been seeing where they're already injecting these banks with $60 billion of capital so they can make loans and things of that nature. So the bank run could force banks to close or even go out of business. Okay, if a bunch of banks, especially these little banks too, if they go out of business, some of these credit unions and different things, they will cut off lending and even cash withdrawals, or limit cash withdrawals to say $250 a week or $500. Not instead of $500 per withdrawal. When you go to the ATM, you can only get out $150. How are you going to pay your bills and do things of that nature if you don't have cash on hand, and you just have a bunch of credit cards? Another thing that people don't think about is a black swan event is a cyber attack. As you know, from the last 2-3 years, from 2016 to 2019, we've had major hacks into not only governmental organizations and city organizations and county organizations. We've had major hacks in consumer retail organizations such as Target, Home Depot, Michaels, the arts and crafts store. We've had hacks into all of these systems with tons of credit card information, tons of personal data, everything being stolen and hacked. Capital One credit card company, they just caught the woman who went in there and hacked everybody. Ironically, they didn't. Nobody's hacked Sallie Mae's student loan company yet and changed everybody, or Experian, or TransUnion, or Experian, or the credit bureaus. No one's hacked that to change our numbers to put it down to 0, but that's just a joke. But no one's hacked that. But the internet can become paralyzed by a hacking supervirus, either originated out of China, Russia, or even another country in Black Swan, and that can prevent emails and online transactions, and it even will affect the stock market, because the stock market, as you know, is a bunch of algorithms and computers now, so that can be hacked and paralyze that. And then the obvious next Black Swan event, of course, is a terrorist attack that can halt trucking. Grocery stores can run out of food, power supplies, power can go out, of course, and that's what the EMP and everybody who's talking about that saying. Okay, but here's another Black Swan event that people don't understand that could happen is violence. We're talking about real violence, chaos, okay, because if the people, the general public, realize that the function of government is always to provide order and civility, to maintain order and civility. That's one of the functions of government at whatever level, federal, state, local, county, city, etc. Okay, so if there's widespread violence that erupts either from a inner city riot, maybe a civil case or something that went terribly wrong, that was just blatantly corrupt, or a foreign attack of California or one of the West Coast cities or New York or something, again, it's possible that these events can overwhelm the government's ability to prevent or respond to a collapse, because they're dealing with all these different little mini riots in Denver and Texas and Florida and Maryland, all these different states, or Michigan. Another thing that can happen too is climate change. Natural disasters have played a huge part. Okay, we've been seeing an increase in natural disasters that the media has tried to downplay by saying that it's just part of global warming, but it's much more than global warming. Okay, we've had super droughts, we've had floods, we've had tornadoes on the ground lasting for several minutes, EF4, EF3s, EF5 tornadoes even. So if a tornado or a super hurricane comes and wipes out a whole couple of towns on the beachfront or something, that will be too much for these insurance companies to insure, and they will have to claim bankruptcies, and they'll just have much losses. That's what happened in California. I don't know if you guys know, but Paradise, California, they're not going to rebuild that town. It's a total loss in Northern California. They had over $25 billion in losses in that wildfire, and they're not going to rebuild that town. And PG&E almost ended up being sued and going bankruptcy because their power lines were at fault for not shutting off the power and the gas for that thing. So something big on that scale can happen again in some other little city, and that's it for that. That could spark a world chain. Now, a national chain of reaction. Now, see, the economy is run on confidence that debts will be repaid, and that food and gas will be available when you need it. But what if that is not the case? What if gas is not available? What if food is not available? What if your Federal Reserve and your national government is working to collapse the economy, okay, by either printing up a majority money or deflating the money supply so much so that everyone becomes cash strapped and strained? Okay, because you notice the money supply has not increased. I mean, it has increased in terms of the injections of money that the Fed has put in, but they're not using the other tools in the Federal Reserve's toolbox just yet. They're only playing with the rates, interest rates, and they're only playing with these injections into the repo markets. Okay, but they haven't done any serious bond movement or anything else in the other markets yet to let us know that they have other tools in their playbook here. Okay, so the 2008 financial crisis was just a blip in the radar. It was not a total chaos kinetic crisis that we've experienced. Okay, so what we need to do to prepare for the 2020, after the 2020 economic collapse, it's difficult to prepare for all the scenarios, but one first thing that you need to do is you want to keep your assets as liquid as possible. Do not tie yourself up into mega debt, okay? Now, I know it's going to take longer to pay off debt now that credit card interest rates are rising, ironically, okay? Not only credit card interest rates, it's for corporate credit cards and personal credit cards. They're rising 25% APR, 27% APR. I heard somebody said there was 30% APR on some of these cards. But we have to pay down some of our debt because we won't be able to be liquid if we have this debt hanging over our head. So whatever it takes a month, 150, 500 a month, you have to throw that at it, okay? Now, so keep your assets as liquid as possible so you can withdraw them within a month or a couple of weeks time, okay? Because it's going to take time for the banks to gather your money together because, like I said, they don't keep that much money on hand per se, okay, on a nightly basis. All right, so now cash is still going to be useful. Gold and silver is still going to be useful, but they may not be accepted as currency face value, okay? Because nobody knows how much it's worth. Remember, this stuff is tied. Gold and silver is tied to the market just like anything else. So, you know, if you go to the grocery store, you try to get a lantern of gas or kerosene, and you give them a silver coin, a couple of bars of silver, they're going to be like, I can't use this. I need cash, paper cash. So these, now it may be accepted as bribes by some community, but it's better to have cash on hand. Cryptos may be a better bet too, but I wouldn't put my money on cryptos because, like I said, if there's an EMP attack, something that you can't get into your computer, if you lost your wallet keys for crypto, then it's not gonna do you any good. So I would leave crypto alone. Now, in addition to your regular job, make sure that you have regular skills such as farming, cooking, and repair. People are gonna try to make their clothes last longer. People are gonna try to eat more at home and you notice the trend now is into plant-based farming and plant-based communities now. You notice a lot of the celebrities and everybody's turning toward, they want you to eat more plants and vegetables. Well, why is that? Well, it's because they know that the economy is on its way down. They know that farming is on its way out in terms of the farmers have already lost a lot of losses in terms of their crops and everything. And this is just a total loss. Everything from peanuts, soybeans, cows were decimated during the Midwest floods. And the media is not covering that, but that's what's happening, and that's why the farmers are just walking away. They can't recover. And Trump, our president, has said that we worked out a deal with China in terms of buying the agriculture, the $50 billion, I think he said, of agriculture deal in phase 1 of this China trade deal, but that hasn't gone through yet. There's nothing in writing. If it's not in writing, it didn't happen yet. Okay, and so he's saying that we're going to put it in writing in the next few weeks, but we still haven't seen anything tangible, and so we know that they're in trouble. Okay, so in a alternative economy, you want to have skills such as farming, cooking, repair. You want to have skills such as survival skills, such as learning how to sell. Selling skills are going to be crucial, okay, because there are going to be tons of people. Think about it. There's going to be tons of people that maybe have a lantern or have a candles but they may not have the special kind of candles that you have that don't go out when you blow in it. The candles that you blow on, you buy your kids a birthday and they don't go out. Or maybe but you need to know how to sell that so that you can make a profit and that you and your family can be safe during this time. And you won't go and tell everybody you have all this stuff. Obviously operational security, OPSPEC, comes in handy too as well. Okay, so make sure your passport is current, okay? If you need to leave the country in a short notice, you need to make sure your passport is current. Make sure your documents are up to date, okay? Because they may make it freely where you can leave. And if this is a global collapse, then obviously, you want to be able to leave and go freely between different countries depending on what's going on in different countries. So familiarize yourself with different countries and their policies, but make sure your passport and your birth certificate and your driver's license are current and remain current at all times. Next, to be able to survive, you want to slowly get yourself in physical shape. It's never too late, no matter what your age, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or even in your teens, okay? You need to be able to get in physical shape. For some, that may include a lot of running. For others, that may include a lot of weightlifting. For others still, that may just include a jump rope. For others, that may just include stretching and doing yoga and Pilates for women or whatever the case may be. But you need to be proficient in being in top shape. And I believe our former president, First Lady, Miss Michelle Obama, she encouraged us all to get in shape, and that was a sign of the times there, okay? And that's why she's working on a campaign to cut back on the sugar and the sweets that we eat so that we can remain in top physical shape to learn basic survival skills for things that could be coming in the near future, okay? But back to the economy, okay? When this 2020 collapse happens, First of all, it's going to hit. Well, let me say this: it's not going to affect the super rich people. I tell you about the top 400 people in America that own all these companies and have all the money, the super billionaires. Okay, so they've already stockpiled their stuff. They've already prepared. They're just waiting for the prices of everything to go down to rock bottom, so they can buy up more houses, buy up more corporations, and buy up more stuff that they can get. That's what they're sitting on the sidelines with cash. Okay, guys like Warren Buffett, Zuckerberg, Richard Branson, all these guys own all these big companies. Okay. So, but it's going to hit the housing first, okay? It's going to hit major assets first. That's what's going to make it different than 2008. This is going to be a deflationary crisis that's going to hit housing, probably beginning just before the elections this coming summer, like say July, August 2020. Housing prices and everywhere is going to be dipping. You'll see it in San Francisco in the Bay Area. You'll see it in Arizona. You'll see it in Florida. And then it'll work its way into the Midwest and Northeast last, okay? Because of the price structure and because of the demand. There's more people in those cities, so the demand will appear to be there, but you will see that the price have to go down because houses are going to be staying on the market for 200 days, 300 days longer, because people are just knowing that deals are coming and they're not going to be wasting their money on these high payments and stuff like that and risk what's coming in the future. Okay, so we're going to see that in auto loans, auto sales are going to go decrease. Companies like, you're going to see mergers. So it's possible that GM, the company that just went through a strike, they may merge with Daimler Chrysler, or merge with Saab, or merge with Toyota, to be in a better financial position for when this thing drops. Okay, because they're not selling that many cars anyway. Everybody across the board in autos sales have been down the last 2 months by 3%. That includes Honda, Toyota, Ford, GM, Chrysler, Volvo. All of those companies had negative auto sales, decreasing by at least 3% in the last 2 months, August and September. Okay, so if that trend, I expect to see mergers in the auto sector coming up summer 2020. Layoffs will continue. Okay, now as layoffs continue, you should also watch for the hustle economy, the second economy, to grow. That means people are going to be taking on more Uber, Lyft, more Instacart, online shopping jobs like that, taking on Amazon selling services, selling things on Amazon like cell phone cases, selling goods and services on these online markets. They're going to continue to increase, and that's why their stock is always going to be valuable. Okay, so you want to prepare yourself for that. The gig economy will increase in the next 10 months. You're going to see tons of people, even people who have regular jobs, still going on the gig economy, doing things on the side as a way, because they know that the physical assets and the physical jobs are no longer going to be there. And that's going to be the big shift as well. Okay, so you want to practice living off the land. If you're in a rural area, sustainability is key. And you're going to see an uptick in sustainability resource camps coming up in this coming year, starting after the winter time. And when we get into springtime, April, May 2020, you're going to see an uptick in sustainability camps. And I'm going to talk about that in a future video as well. Okay, so be smart, stay liquid as possible, crush your debt down as much as you can, okay, within reason, and make sure you get in shape. Make sure you also store away some medical supplies, antibiotics, and some assets like that, and toilet paper, because those assets are going to be very, very valuable when everything shakes out. Okay, but I hope you learned something today. First, we talked about the black swan events that could trigger the 2020 recession, and also I talked about how steps you can prepare yourself and your family for a potential collapse that is on the horizon. It's on the doorstep now. The players are being assembled, so I encourage everyone to stay focused, stay prayed up. You know, we can get through this as a country. We did it before, and we can get through this as a country now through faith in God, faith in each other, and just being civil and thinking smart and thinking ahead and planning. Have a nice day and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.